Yeah, good morning. Here we are. So this is week 20 and we've got the wonderful, this is going to be hilarious. We haven't started, but it's already set a benchmark for the day. We've peaked and we're not started. This is the wonderful and illustrious
this is the thing.
Karen Arthur.
Guys.
Karen Arthur of our St Leonard's Parish, who we're very proud to have. Because our town has plenty. My tea hasn't reached the sweet spot yet, so I won't drink it. But, Karen, we were having a natter before we started.
I guess.
So Karen has got a lot to offer, so she will talk about all sorts of wonderful things today. But she's a seamstress, this woman, amongst other things.
Okay, all right. I'll correct you, but carry on.
It's fine. I'm used to it. But what we've just talked about is the deliciousness, being women of a certain age, of a French seam.
I've got a French seam.
So what happens when we find a French seam on clothes?
I just want to wear them inside out.
Yes.
And I know that has taken that person so much time to do that, because you don't muck about with French seams.
You don't.
You can't do it quickly. I'm a big fan of slow fashion, of taking your time over things. I really love hand sewing and mending my own clothes, not other people's. Let's be very clear here. So I was at my mum's. My mum lives in Banbury. She's 85, and she got some clothes out from the top of her wardrobe. She wanted me. So we had this whole trying on thing, and she tried on this kind of form-fitting, really brightly coloured dress that she was convinced my youngest daughter would love, and she was going, take it, and I was like, Mum, she's not going to wear that. But then we found this dress that I'd made for her 40 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Before overlockers. Yeah. Before I had an overlocker. And it's a dress that I would never have looked at a few years ago. And of course she doesn't want to wear it anymore. She doesn't wear that kind of... So I tried it on. I looked inside and it's got all these beautiful French seams, beautiful buttonhole, hand-done buttonholes. I wouldn't have the patience now. So it's in my wardrobe. It's home.
That was my mum's legacy for me. Was when Mum used to take me shopping and she'd say, so the first thing you do when you're buying clothes for yourself, because I was a teen, turn it inside out. And it was one of those, and it never left me.
And I still do it.
And I still do.
I look to see whether I can wash it, whether it's dry cleanable. Yeah. Then I know a lot of clothes say dry clean only. They're not. That's not the reason. It's so you don't. Yeah, absolutely. Just you can put everything on 20 degrees low. It just depends on whether you want to iron it. Like if it's a suit, you're not necessarily going to put it through the wash. But people do. Not anybody I know, but hey, it's a thing.
It is a thing.
So I look for the label and I look for size, obviously, and I look to see what the seams are saying, especially with vintage clothing. Although vintage, I hate to break it to you, but vintage is 2000, which
I know, it's shocking what vintage is now.
That's mad. When I think of vintage, I think 70s down.
Me too.
And I'm very upset by the fact that 2025 means that vintage clothing are.
Ouch. Yeah.
Oh my God! I was in my late 40s wearing.
Are we looking at antique clothing
now? We're antique.
Unbelievable.
I'm proud of it. Let's be clear.
Absolutely, very proud. Very proud. Good for you.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So you've got lots of strings to your bow.
Oh no, I'm reading your script.
Oh no, this is these are things we've covered. These are things we've covered. Okay. This is people we've already done today. So you, my darling,
been busy. I've got a blank canvas, guys.
A blank canvas.
Great. I love this.
Anything.
I can say anything. I'm a bear tamer.
You can.
Yeah, guys. I tame bears. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I do. Yeah.
Here we go. This week only.
How many have you tamed?
At least 20.
20?
Yeah, absolutely. They're very furry, but they're quite nice once you get to know them. I'm not a bear tamer. No. Let's be very clear. What am I? Who am I?
You do lots of things, don't you?
I do. So I'm Karen Arthur.
You are Karen.
And I start with author. I'm a broadcaster. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
But I used to be a fashion designer. I used to be a teacher. I used to be a model. That'll do, innit?
You still model though?
Not really. Not like I was with an agency, but you know what? Agencies want what they want when they want it, and I'm not about that life.
No.
So modelling would be great. It would be better if I was living in London because I could go to castings at the drop of a hat.
Just pop along,
After COVID, there was a lot of castings online. They, that you'd get a message at 3:00 in the afternoon, and they want it by 11:00 the next day or something like that. I don't jump for anyone.
No.
And so
get to this age, you
I moved here.
When
and
did
they
you
was like,
come?
can you just September 2022.
God,
So yeah.
Feels like
Oh
you've
my
been here
God,
for
that's
a long
almost
time
3
ago.
years. I did kind of immerse myself in local life.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't do that anymore. It doesn't mean I haven't ruled it out. It just means that I don't like. I'm not rushing for anyone. I'm sorry. It's not fun. And if it's not fun, or my whole heart isn't in wanting to do it. I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
I'll make no apologies for that. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. So yeah, I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I have a podcast called Menopause Whilst Black. We've just finished our 8th season.
Oh, wow.
And I'm loving that. So there you go. We've just finished our 8th season.
Wow.
Amazing. Could you just follow me around and say wow? every 5 minutes? Thanks.
Probably.
And I also have a radio show called Can We Talk, which there are like 38 episodes. I just like the conversations.
Yeah.
I like the chat.
Yeah.
I like realising that no one knows what they're doing.
Yes.
And we're all
Same
just
here.
making it up as we go along.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff they tell you at school.
Yeah.
And when you're growing up, you have to do this and you have to do that, and you'll respect your elders, and they all know what they're doing. No. PSA. No one knows what they're doing.
No.
They're just putting one foot in front of the other and trying. And that's also people who rule us. The people in Parliament, the idiots overseas. We've got homegrown idiots here, who are getting lots of money for doing what.
No.
So don't let me go down the politics road.
No. Can't be bothered. We can't be bothered, to be perfectly honest, because this is about the joy that is Karen Arthur.
Absolutely.
Because what I love
Yeah.
about Karen, and I remember meeting you I had a fangirl moment in the in
That's
Still.
hilarious.
It was and we were walking round. We were walking around the exhibition and come on. See, think.
Come on.
Switch
At the
on.
Delaware.
We can
Thinking
do
word.
this at the
Thinking
Delaware.
word. The Delaware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exhibition.
What was the exhibition?
Anna Maria.
Anna Maria's exhibition.
Oh
And
yeah, that one.
It was. It was.
That one.
It
Yeah.
was that one.
Yeah.
And it was
Up in arms.
Up in
Yeah.
arms.
Oh my God.
I was like,
We were standing, thank you, and we were standing because we've all done things, which means our brains. We don't keep information, but when
It
we
comes
remember
back.
it comes back.
It's
But I
fluid.
remember-
Information is fluid.
Exactly. But I remember looking at you. And you had your fantastic coat on.
Oh, that
and
coat.
That
okay.
coat.
That coat, all right.
That coat. We need a photo of that coat. Actually.
yeah.
And I looked round. I did a double take, and I went, oh, "That's Karen Arthur." and I was standing next to other people. And they were like, "Who's Karen Arthur?" I don't know Karen Arthur.
You don't know who Karen Arthur is?
That's Karen Arthur.
That's
And
hilarious.
so you had you just arrived here?
Yeah.
You
It
just
was one of the first exhibitions I went to, I think.
It was
the first time I'd
your
been to the
first
Delaware Hall.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been winter, so yeah, I had
Yeah.
my big quilted... The coat Patsy is referring to is a...
It's an inspiration.
Coats are expensive, right? And I can make coats. I can make... So every
can swear on this,
few
you can.
years... Oh, okay, good. Every few years, I'll go to a very, a shop that has the kind of coat that I want, But I never see anything, and they're all like, the ones I want are 700, 600, upwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I never see anything that's quite out there enough for me, but also warm.
Yeah.
And so one year, when was it? It was 2019, so it was just before we went into lockdown, actually, so I didn't have a lot of chance to wear it, which is probably why I wear it so much now.
Yeah.
I had some camouflage neoprene, which is like scuba diving fabric, and some pink Ankara African print fabric. I thought, oh, I wonder what it'd be like if I put those two together.
Yeah.
And I made this. It looks like a massive duvet.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it
great.
gets a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But the other reason I love it is for me, it's wearable art. It's about taking up
Absolutely.
space.
Yeah,
We get
absolutely.
older as women, or people socialised as women, and society tells us, oh, go very quiet. We don't want your opinion. You're no longer relevant to the male gaze. Just go and sit in the corner and knit.
Become
Or wait for your
wallpaper.
kids, or menopause arrives with all its gifts. And so we end up maybe going part-time at work or leaving work. We just go very, very quietly. We've got to a stage in our life where sometimes we're not necessarily happy, but we don't know how to break out of it. So for me, when I wear that coat, I am absolutely taking up space.
Absolutely.
Like,
saying, no,
I sit on the tube,
Yeah.
and you can't sit on either side of me.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Or do you see what I mean?
I
And
totally see.
honestly, as I've gotten older, I'm 63 years old now. I'm loving my 60s. I loved half of my 50s. The first half, not so great. I feel like we have more knowledge.
Yes.
We've got more experience. Why would we be quiet? I have no
Absolutely.
intention of going quiet.
No.
Yeah.
More
And so
fun.
people say to me, oh, have you retired? Well, no.
Is there such a
But
thing?
also, like, I think I've reached a stage in my life where I'm choosing to only go where the joy is. Yes, I do stuff that I hate doing. No one likes answering emails. No one likes paying horrendous water bills. What the hell? But electricity, all that kind of stuff. But on the whole, if you see me, I'm there by intention, and I'm gonna have a good time. And if I say I'm doing something, I'm doing it because it's a challenge, or I'm interested in it, or I might learn something for it, or I'm going to have a lot of fun. And that's how I ended up modelling.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up doing the podcast, sort of. That's how I ended up doing the radio show. It's like, okay, this is fun. I'll keep doing this.
Yeah.
And when I don't like it anymore, I won't do it anymore.
No, exactly that.
So the coat is,
It's simple,
I'm here.
isn't it?
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm warm.
I'll fight ya.
thanks.
And I'm warm. And I look great.
I look great because I saw the coat and I'd remembered. So the coat symbolised to me wear the good perfume. I only ever buy good perfume now, and since I got 60, I buy good perfume, and I wear good perfume, and I do my thing, and you were a huge inspiration for that. Because no, you really were. Because it was, don't leave things in the bottom of the wardrobe. Put it on.
Wear your best things, yeah.
So I want to hear more about that because I read the blog.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
right.
Yeah, and you were like, oh. And I said, I know your blog.
I'm frantically thinking, what did I say?
No. It was wonderful. Because it was for women of my age, and also what it is to inspire women who are entering into perimenopause, because that it's not a big scary event. It is going to be difficult, but you know what? You've got life beyond this. It's not the death of you. It's the rebirth of you, and to me that's what I got from you.
And the thing is,
peri-merry menopause.
Absolutely, it's really hard to say. Well done, you.
It's called insane.
I'm impressed.
That's madness.
But it's also, something that isn't really spoken about when you're growing up.
No.
And
No, not at all.
so to be giving forth and, being seen at the same time and holding that for others is,
And I didn't set out to be the person talking about menopause at the beginning. I was just being truthful about what was going on in my life. I'd been a teacher for 28 years. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I left teaching. I never thought I'd leave teaching. I thought I'd, carry on until I could retire, and then maybe carry on sewing because I had a little sewing hobby, stroke business. I call it stroke business because it made no money, but it was my sanity at weekends. My kids had gone to uni, or they were doing their own thing. So sewing and designing for me is my solace and my meditation. But I didn't realise all of that. I just did it because if I didn't, I'd kill a child. Obviously, I wouldn't kill a child, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think you find that funny.
Yeah.
No
children were hurt.
No, absolutely. And I brought up two wonderful children, and they're now grown-ups. It's all good.
Yeah.
But I was also very sad, and to put it mildly, depression is the definition of sadness. I'm laughing about it now because I'm 10 years out.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this date, which I didn't realise until I was walking over here, is that this is the date of my Aunt Monica's passing. So she passed away 10 years ago today. I just left teaching. My eldest daughter wasn't very well. I was floundering because my whole status, my raison d'etre was about teaching. I was a really good teacher, and so I never saw myself as anything else really, or I never dared to see myself as anything else. I thought, that's teaching. I'm a teacher. That's what I do.
The status quo.
Head of house. That's what I knew. And so 10 years ago, today, my aunt passed away, and I was in charge. I was executor to her will. I had to do all the things, like let family know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it was getting rid of all the stuff in her flat. She had a lovely little flat in Peckham, which if I had the money I would have bought then. But it is what it is. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And she liked C&A and St Michael. She had a lot of Caribbean heritage elders, like those British brands.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, C&A, by the way.
Yeah.
And
sad loss.
And there was one. It is actually. I don't want to change the subject, but their adverts in magazines where they're wearing the ski pants and
exactly.
And at C&A.
The logo, the blue.
Anyway, we're being serious.
Yeah.
So so I was looking through her wardrobe, and there was this one skirt I was drawn to. It's an A-line maxi 70s skirt. It's got St Michael in it. It was a little bit too big for me. It fits me now. Hey, it is what it is. And I missed her. And I didn't see her that often. But I had these imaginations of the amazing niece I was going to be when she came out of hospital.
Yeah.
And then she didn't. And so I almost felt guilty for grieving. That's what it was. I felt guilty because I was like, but you weren't the best niece. Therefore, you can't claim that grief.
Yeah. What value is your grief? What depth is it?
Like, why are you banging on, like, you... And don't get me wrong, we were very close, but we weren't... I didn't go and see her as often as I could have. She didn't have kids. I didn't know how ill she was. Okay. But we had a lot in common, and she was always saying to me, go back to uni and do an MA. I'm like, no, I'm not going back to uni. But she'd encourage me, that kind of thing. So I started to wear the skirt. That's basically it. I started to wear the skirt if I was going somewhere where I thought she'd enjoy it. So an art gallery.
That's so cool.
An art gallery, a concert. Or if I was giving a speech.
Yeah.
If I was talking about something that was important to me, as I started to come through my anxiety and depression phase, I started to talk about #WearYourHappy, which is about choosing clothes to lift your mood. I think we are all capable of doing that. There is also something about getting older and reaching for the cleanest thing, the thing that fits. We've all done the sniff test.
Yeah,
maybe we haven't. I don't know. Or the thing that matches. Yeah. And we've curated a wardrobe of greys and blues. I'm kidding. Greys and blues and browns and jeans and t-shirts. And also our bodies are changing, so we aren't comfortable with that.
No, exactly.
So often we wear clothes that hide what are called a multitude of sins, but they're a multitude of wins because we're still here. I just made that up. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we take a moment, guys? Let's pause for that.
A multitude
of wins.
Of wins.
Because copyright. Because
it's down.
We're still here. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Yeah.
You know, aging. I often say aging is a privilege.
Absolutely.
You talk about this whole thing around. You know, people you shouldn't ask a woman her age or. Why are you so, you look so young. I don't want to look young. I want to look like me. This is how I look. Yeah. And I look like this because I've been through all this.
Absolutely.
You know, and some highs and some lows and all that kind of stuff. So I feel that, like you were saying, you were talking about leaving things for best. Absolutely. Best for what?
Yeah, exactly.
For what? Yeah. I might go out, please God, don't let this happen. I might go out here and have a lorry, run me over. I might be diagnosed with something awful tomorrow. We all know people. We survived a global pandemic, guys.
Yeah, we did.
Props to us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the least we can do is celebrate that. And we celebrate it by wearing the clothes that make us feel good.
Absolutely.
Wearing the clothes that, bring us joy. And remember, when you wear them, you also give people watching you permission to wear their good clothes.
Absolutely.
And get rid of all the dross in your wardrobe that actually reminds you of a time, like all my... suits that I wore to school, they've either been repurposed or I wear them in a different way, or they're giving someone else joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's wandering around Sydenham wearing all my clothes, which is where I used to live.
Yeah.
So I feel really strongly about this because when I discovered the power of the clothes I had in my wardrobe, I would reach for things. I love bright colours.
Me too.
I love do you? I noticed. I think there's a little bit of a hint.
Yeah, you can kind of.
I love a pattern.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love a texture.
Yes.
I like shiny things. And I like to be on the the side of quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be so out there. It could be wearing. Like I wear a bangle, my aunt, at the funeral, this is really depressing, at the funeral, my aunt, Aunt Monica's sister, gave this to me. This is Aunt Monica's.
Wow.
And so it sounds really weird, but obviously when she passed away it was on her, and I haven't taken it off.
Oh, wow.
Because that, for me, I don't wear jewellery on the whole. I mean, I wear tourists, but that's about it. But, this... And I fiddle with it, and it keep right. So it might be, I don't know, a really nice scarf that you bought on a holiday that you really enjoyed, or it might be something that somebody gave to you they don't have to have passed away. Someone you like your mate.
Absolutely.
Or it might be really nice lingerie. No one has to see these things.
No.
You choose the things that bring you joy. It might be a lovely texture,
totally.
And all our wardrobes contain this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just that we've kind of shoved them, if you're right-handed, you shove them to the left side. Because we always go there.
We do.
Yeah. And also that it slots nicely into sustainable living, sustainable fashion, not spending money on fast fashion, which is going to fall apart.
The slowing down that you're talking about.
The slowing down, all that kind of stuff. I think
it already exists, doesn't it?
Right, and I always give people homework, and the homework is to look in your knicker drawer. If you have knickers that have elastic coming off them, or they've got a little hole in, aren't you worth more?
Yeah, definitely.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Aren't you worth more?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you have knickers or bras or vest or whatever, or night clothes that make you feel good? So get rid of the dross, and if you're left, you need 3 pairs of knickers, one that's drying, one that's wet, and one you're wearing.
Yeah.
That's another one that's going down there.
So until you've got a little bit more money, get yourself some nice knickers. They don't have to be, what's the words? I want to say sexy, but sexy is as sexy does.
Yeah.
True.
So
Yeah.
sexy can be wonderfly big knickers, small knickers.
Absolutely. I've got some,
dolls.
mate.
I love my big knickers.
Mate.
Sorry, that was very
No,
too much
same.
sharing.
Same. I'm the
They're
same.
very
I've got
nice.
some very nice big knickers.
Yeah.
They're great. I'm comfy.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I feel sexy.
And that's the thing, isn't it? What am I wearing that makes me feel good?
Absolutely. I was a bit of a rant.
It's often when you put it on. That's like, if you feel like you're adorning or donning something, you get a different feel when you walk around in it. So
and you walk taller.
You do, most definitely.
And people see it. I'm often getting compliments. Yes, in fact, I got complimented on the way here. Someone walked past me and she was, I couldn't see her, so she'd gone, and she said, "You look fabulous."
Yeah.
I was like, "Thank you." Now I know this, by the way. This isn't an accident.
No.
However, I feel like my other beef with how people who are socialised as women react to compliments is that we go, we tell you where it's. I know.
Yes. This
Or we tell you how much it costs. I did not ask you.
No.
I said you look good.
Yeah.
The least, just say thank you.
Yeah.
Or my favourite, thank you. I know.
I
But
like
that makes you feel a little bit.
Absolutely.
Oh, they're going to think I'm big-headed. Why? Well, why shouldn't? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So stop telling people
Because
how much your clothes cost.
disingenuous, isn't it?
If they have complimented you on what you look, they didn't ask you that.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
You know. So own your fabulousness.
Yeah.
And move through the world. Yeah.
Own your own style of whatever it is that you're wearing. Because you don't having to fit into someone else's style.
I think that's what fashion does, though, doesn't it? There are so many rules, fashion rules. You know, what the one?
Don't wear that with that.
Don't. Cosmopolitan was good at it. Like when I was growing up, I used to read my mum's Cosmopolitan, and there was, pages and pages of what to wear and what not to wear. Day to night. Do you remember those? Day to night.
Something
Dressing.
Turn
So
it
basically,
inside
you
out,
had a gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You had a gold chain and put extra eyeshadow on you already.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing. Don't wear black tights with white stilettos.
Yeah.
Don't wear gold and silver jewellery together.
Absolutely.
Don't wear blue and red.
Yeah, exactly.
No, or was it red and green? One of them.
Green,
one of them
wasn't
things
it? Because you look like a bruise.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most famous tartans is blue and green. Don't be silly.
You don't show your cleavage and your legs.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that.
No.
But my point, either way. And those things stick.
They do.
Those things stick. So I think, I do have messages from women who are saying, I don't know where to start. I don't know what style is, and I kind of get
where to stop.
So,
You can go the
They're
other way.
not you.
I'm not. No. But going
But
back to that.
because if you spent the last, 2 decades, just wearing clothes to get you to the school run, or all the navy
what you
things.
always wear. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with navy.
No.
But calm down. Or the blouse and the brooch and all the things. It is easy to you also, if you're not comfortable with the way that your body is moving around and emerging and evolving, then it's actually quite uncomfortable if you wear something that's out there, because then you're being seen.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
I really
Totally.
do.
And actually, for some people, there's a comfort in becoming invisible. They kind of get used to it. It's not necessarily that they want to, but it's what they're used to.
Yeah.
And I would say try to disrupt that, and you can start with an out there. And people will always have an opinion, by the way. Mate, we had a maths teacher. Shout out Chris Josie. He always had something to say about what I was wearing when I went to school.
Okay.
Whether he thought I was wearing, but he had something to say. And I knew that was about him. I get that.
Totally, yeah.
And he, in a sense, it was coming from a place of love. I get that as well. But I was so confident in what I was wearing. I was cool with it. So if I wore a large head wrap, I'd be Marge Simpson. If I wore, a long, striped, big, oversized shirt, I was wearing my pyjamas. Didn't I get dressed today? You always had something to say.
Yeah.
Chris has hang-ups.
Yeah. But a lovely man. I don't think he's teaching either, actually. But that's another story.
Time for therapy, Chris.
We love you, Chris.
But we can tell that's a lot of that is projecting.
But my point is, people will have an opinion, and that's fine. But it's none of their business.
No.
Let them have the opinion, because actually they are projecting. They wish they had your audacity, your courage, your bravery. Just to wear a big pair of earrings.
Exactly.
Or part your hair on the other side. Or, you know.
I totally get it.
Yeah,
parting your hair on the other side was one of those things that was ooh, edgy.
Was that edgy?
And, oh yeah, massively.
Middle parting means you're sensible. And side parting means you're I don't know.
Okay.
It's
It's
rubbish,
like wearing your
by the
hat.
way.
It's rubbish.
Absolute rubbish.
But it's like wearing your hat on a jaunty angle. It's that thing, isn't it? You can pop your hat on your head.
Steady.
Or you can pop your head. The hat when my mother used to say, don't let your clothes wear you. Wear your clothes.
That's
she was
nice.
mad about that.
Yeah.
Whenever you put anything on, the collars go up on a coat. The coat has to sit a certain way, has to be the right length. Don't wear short clothes if you can wear long clothes, because on a woman of a certain, I don't know, I'm 5'4.5". What are you?
5'5". I love the half. Loving the half.
Well, I'm actually now half. I'm now half bigger because I had my hip extended.
With this, you're about another 3 inches.
That's right.
5'8".
But the thing is, people think we're tall.
But that's the
when
way
we
you
walk
carry
into a
yourself.
room, and it's carriage,
Yeah.
and it's walking into Lidl and going, "Excuse me," and it's that thing. You're just walking in. I'm not wearing platforms or anything. I'm in sensible, comfortable shoes. But it's that thing that you carry yourself in a way, don't you?
And this is the thing. I think by me choosing myself, because that's what this is about. It's about choosing yourself. It's about for me. Getting dressed is an act of self-care.
Absolutely.
Which is why when people say, what are you going to wear on, I don't know, such as I say, I have no clue. Because I will wear what I feel like at the time. When I packed everything together to leave London, I had to downsize from 4 wardrobes to 1. Ooh. I had expanded when I split with my partner 18 years ago now. And I just filled all the spaces. First of all, I changed all the decor. And then I filled all this, and I took Sky Sports off the TV.
You took up space.
And then I expanded into, and then when I decided to leave, because I didn't know, like a year before I left London, I had no idea I was going to leave London. So when I shout out COVID, when I left there, I had 3 open houses. 3 consecutive weekends, and I invited people over and I gave things away that I spent hundreds on for like a £5, and because my mindset was that it's going to make them happy. I'd made a beautiful pair of jeans that a lovely friend of mine has, and I know they bring her joy. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so now in St Leonard's, I don't have a wardrobe per se. I have one of those extra long railings.
Yeah, nice. So you can see everything.
So I can see everything. My mum loves it.
I bet. I bet.
So when I go in, I get to touch my clothes.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, what do I feel like?
I feel like.
What do I feel like?
That's nice.
What do I want to? What do I want to embody? What mood do I want to be in? How am I feeling? Do I need something bright? Do I need something shiny? Obviously I think about the weather. I'm not a complete idiot, but because St Leather weathers, doesn't it? Hastings weathers.
Totally weathers.
What is this?
But your cinched waist raincoat.
Not work. Oh God, I did that. Moving here.
Oh, my maxi African print, dresses that ended up.
Oh, yeah.
Giving the locals a fright.
Yeah.
So I love all that. It's like it's supposed to be my second bedroom, but it's my wardrobe my walk-in wardrobe as far as I'm concerned, and I love walking in there in the whatever time I decide to get. I was going to say morning, but and
When
just
you're ready.
Time is a human construct, darling.
Absolutely, darling.
Yeah.
So and my mum came to stay with me last year, and she deliberately didn't bring any proper clothes with her. She knew we were going to a private view. It was the Black Joy private view at Hastings Museum, and she wandered into my wardrobe unbeknownst to me, into my room unbeknownst to me, and she's gone quiet. And you know that thing where you've got kids in the house and they get quiet?
Totally,
Or kids and pictures.
That's so brilliant.
So I walk in, I put this on Instagram, I walk into my room and my mum is stuck in one of my dresses. one of my dresses. And she's herself laughing because she thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
That she stuck, and 2 that I caught her. So then she's I'm just trying, and we have a whole series of my mum, my 85-year-old, trying on my clothes on and, posing, because she loves it.
She loves it.
So
She absolutely loves it. So yeah, I don't even know what I was talking about, but yeah, great.
She's a bit
Wear
of
what you
an
love.
Insta
That's it.
Yeah. Oh.
Wear what you love.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, wear it now. Don't put it away and say, "Oh well, I'll keep that for best." I don't think there is a for best.
This is best.
This is
This
best.
day
Right
you
now.
got up and drew breath. This is best.
Yeah, totally.
I could talk about this for hours, but this is going to be a very long episode.
It's okay.
We don't mind that. Because this woman has plenty. She plenty.
Oh dear. So yeah, that's me.
That
You're
is
looking at me
There's
like
more.
you expect me to
There's
say
more.
something.
No.
Oh yes, the book. So earrings.
Yeah.
Book. So I wrote a book. And here's one I made earlier. No. So this is why I start with author, because I'm trying to own the fact that I happen to have written a children's book called Grandma's Locks, and this was written for my grandson, who is now 5.
Wow. Amazing.
You guys are great.
We are going to walk around
hilarious.
together. It's absolutely natural.
You need to record them
Surround
and send
sound.
them off and pay
Wow.
people. Yeah, people need to pay you to get that.
Like fireworks.
Yeah, literally. So my grandson was born October 2019. As he's growing up, we move into lockdown. I can't see my grandson. And my love for this child that I wasn't able to, squeeze, needed to come out somewhere. And I wrote this poem. And I had an agent from before lockdown, which was around, I was going to write a book about Where You're Happy, which I haven't ruled out. I have lots of ideas.
Cool.
I haven't done it yet. And I was talking to her and I told her I've written this poem. And she said, send it over. And it ended up in the hands of the commissioning editor for children's books at the Tate. And 5 years later, we have this beautiful book. My grandson is mixed race, and his hair is a beautiful collection of curls and darts everywhere. And black folks have often historically been policed for the way our hair grows out of our head.
Yeah.
So I have friends who, for example, work in corporate jobs who would not have locks because they have been told that it's unprofessional. And even though intellectually they know that's not true, from a promotion, it's changing. But, I wanted my grandson to be proud of his dual heritage and also to celebrate where he's from. And I didn't want him to be othered. My grandson is also, he's a cute little boy. And when he was growing up, lots of people, complete strangers, patting his head, talking about his hair being wild, which is disrespectful.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
connotations of wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the book is an ode to my grandson, but it's basically a poem about what we do when we dance together and we played in the garden and we... and it talks about my hair. I used to have very long locks and lots of hats and that kind of thing. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. It's illustrated by Camilla Rue. It's US publication date was yesterday, so it's available in the Caribbean. It has references to Barbados. I'm just going to go through this.
That's really joyful, isn't it? It's gorgeous.
And the pictures, I tell you what, the Camilla, God love her, she's a black artist based in Manchester. She's young, well, half made. Everybody's young, isn't it? And she's younger than me. And this went through 14 iterations because I kept sending it back, going brighter, brighter, brighter. And when we finally met in person at the launch at the Tate last year, she said to me, thank you for pushing me outside my comfort zone.
Nice.
And she knew she'd nailed it when she's got a 12-year-old sibling. and they happened to come into the room when she was working on the illustrations, and they don't have an opinion about a lot of things that they do, but they said, oh, that's great. And so she felt like, oh my God, I've had the seal of approval from this child. But yeah, I feel that, oh gosh, I feel so much. But for me, this, by the way, my grandson's name is Kiko, and he couldn't give about this. Like, it's not a thing, you know. I thought, however, the first author reading, I'm very open to author readings. Going into schools is my comfort zone. I'm used to giving assemblies for 200 kids. That's a plug for me, by the way, for a local school. The first school I read at was his school. He just started school. Okay. So he's sitting, you know, cross-legged, looking up, going, where's my grandma here? You know, with a room full of rapt children. And we've got the, you know, the book behind us on the screen, and I'm reading from this book. But recently, there's a podcast called Let's Read with Lyla and Dad. And they read bedtime stories every week.
Oh, that sounds great.
And they chose this book.
Wow.
And so I have a video of Kiko responding to hearing, because I leave a message at the beginning, and then hearing this book read out, and hearing Lyla and Dad talk about, mention his name, and mention his mum's name, and mention my name. He's like, he's eating a lollipop, and he's like, and he's like, and when I saw him recently, he said, Grandma, they say my name 8 times. You know, and for me, that's priceless.
Yeah,
that's it. Because you can't take that away from him, and you can't take it away from me. So I feel very proud of it. Go and buy it.
Yes.
Great. But yeah, it's a cutie.
It is a cutie.
It's a cutie. And you know, the other thing I think about my life in general, you know, is when we're growing up at school, there are certain points we have to hit, aren't there? You get your O-levels, GCSEs, your A-levels, you might go to university, although in the town I was brought up in, Banbury, a small percentage of people, you know, went on to uni. Most people stayed, left school, and went and got a job, or went to the technical college. Yeah, that's what you did, right? You could leave school at a decent age. Well, don't get me started on that. So, but there were no, and then you went to uni, and then you meet a partner, and then you get married with the thing, the track, and you have the kid. So you don't think beyond that. But but if you add the layer of me not seeing anybody who looked like me doing anything except for Moira Stewart reading the news, and Shirley Bassey singing, or do like a sequin, you know. So this whole thing around you can't be what you can't see. This is absolutely true. Absolutely. Yeah. Which I suppose kept me in teaching for so long, because I thought, well, teaching is a respected profession. All my aunts and uncles, my mum, Karen's a teacher in that there London, you know, that kind of thing. So even though the job was making me happy, and the stress and menopause and this smorgasbord of, you know, that was creating that in my early 50s, at the same time, the reason I stuck there was because I couldn't see a life beyond that, and I was scared that I've still got a mortgage, I've still got a lifestyle to lead, you know, I've still got to put food on the table. Yeah. Whereas there's that whole thing around what's the worst that could happen? Well, you have to turn it around and go, what's the best? What's the best? Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And fear keeps us small, and the powers that be want us to be scared.
They do. They want us to be small.
You know, but I feel that if you're going in a direction that aligns with your values, and you truly take time to listen to yourself. We're so busy that we haven't got time to listen because we're busy in our head. You know, you're thinking of
the hamster wheel is just
absolutely,
constant, isn't it?
Whereas I suppose reaching depression, this can sound really weird, but in a sense, it gifted me the opportunity to go quiet. Yeah. Because, well, everybody was at work for a start, so you know, I didn't have any money. I didn't want to leave my house because I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to see humans. So actually, it gave me a chance to be ill, but it also gave me the chance to really kind of come up and really listen to, okay, what do you want to do? What do you really want to do? And I made the decision around, if I'm going to be alive for the next 30, 40, 50 years, I'm only going to do stuff I love.
Yeah.
And that moved me into making bespoke clothes for women, which moved me into modelling, which moved me into volunteering, which moved me into leaving London. So I was like, I don't fancy this anymore. How about I do this? You know, so I feel there's no blueprint for my life. So, and there's also, you can create a life that is different from other people's, and that's okay, because someone's watching you. So, and I know that moving to Sydney has influenced a lot of people. They're happy to tell me that, whether it's moving here or just moving generally.
Definitely.
Leaving your partner. I'm not advocating for everybody to leave their partner, but, you know, have a think.
Does it bring me joy? Any
well,
of it?
but also that whole thing around, does it serve you? We're supposed to change. We're supposed to evolve. I don't have the opinions now that I had 30 years ago. Thank God. Oh my God.
Same.
You know, we're supposed, you know, so we're
meant to evolve.
And if we change, it means our friendships might change.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
If you have friends that make you feel like shit every time you leave them,
they're
not your friends.
They're not your friends.
You know, if you have clothes that don't fit you, why have you still got them?
Yeah, exactly.
If it just and so it gave me the opportunity to go quiet.
Yeah.
And then it allowed, and when I feel myself getting anxious, because, you know, mental health does that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know that I go quiet, I journal, I meditate, I, you know, withdraw, and I get back in touch with myself. That can be a bit woo-woo, but
it's not woo-woo at all. No. It's authentic. Now there's a word that's overused.
But it's true though.
But it's true, because when I get to be with Patsy, and I get to listen to Patsy, it's a very different story.
I almost said who's Patsy.
What was that, sorry?
I almost said who's Patsy, and then I realised you were talking about yourself. She's got the first person, guys.
But I get to hear what I've got, what my thoughts are, and what my and we spend so much of our time being told that it's all about you, dear. It's you. It's not. And actually, there needs to be a piece of our pizza carved out with our name in it, without it always having to be given away to everybody else, without it always being. So having our time, I know that my depressive period was very much about me getting to meet me, and then and I've done that a couple of times in my life, and there's been this resurgence of this woman is different, and it feels like the dragonfly has come out, and she can't go back in now. She has to.
Absolutely.
But that will happen again and again, but that's not time that is scarily spent. It's time. I think the fear is, I don't want to go there because it's going to be dark. It was hugely illuminating for me.
It can also, sorry to cut you off, it can also, it's still scary.
Yeah, absolutely,
because,
it's still scary.
No one wants to go there, no one wants to go where the monsters are. Yeah. My therapist, that's the other thing I did, is I finally paid for therapy. And I say finally because I knew I needed therapy, but I also didn't think I was worth therapy, because I could think of all these things I could do with the money.
Yeah.
But it was the
other
best.
People need therapy, don't they?
Right? Yeah, right. Yeah. I need to send a few people my bill, actually. I feel like, it was almost like I don't have a choice here, but also I have a choice to go to therapy, or I can get worse. Yeah. I can choose professional help. And I also recognise that comes from a huge place of privilege, because therapy is expensive. And the savings I had, I used for that. But I did think I was going for 6 weeks and I'd be fixed.
Yeah.
And I was there for 3 years. And it was the best 3 years I ever gave myself, because, and I recently went in and came out again, because
refresher.
It's a refresher, but also I needed help. I needed to support others, and I knew I wouldn't be able to support others without looking after myself first.
Absolutely.
Because once you what is it? You can't pour from an empty cup, something like that.
No.
You know, so that's not me. That's
the aeroplane thing, isn't it? The analogy of, you know, put your mask on first because you can't look after it. And nurses that turn up hungry, she can't look after anybody else, so she's going to be hungry. She needs to look after herself first.
Yeah, these things are important. And the other thing I was going to say about doing things out of duty, doing things because you've always done them.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing, setting boundaries with people close to me who, I'm an Aries, I'm the eldest of 4 siblings, I'm the one who always does the things or initiates them or suggests them, that kind of thing. Sure. And I physically couldn't. So I kind of had to learn to say no and not explain why. Yes. How many of us have done things we don't want to do because we always do it? Absolutely. Or we think, or we don't want the ag of someone going, but why?
But you feel shamed into doing a lot
of course.
Which is ugly.
But there's a wonderful book called The Joy of Saying No by my good friend Natalie Liu. And I tell you, it's a game changer. Yeah. Because, first of all, she puts people in, a lot of us are people pleasers. A lot of people socialise as women are people. You know, we're taught to be people pleasers. We're conditioned. We're what's the word? Rewarded for being nice and giving to others. You know, that kind of stuff. But she also scripts sentences you can use instead of.
Yeah, I love.
Do you know what I mean? And you don't apologise. And people don't like it because, first of all, they want the courage to do it, but also it means that you're inconveniencing them. But they find someone else to do the thing.
They will.
And it is better to say yes with your chest.
Yes.
Than to say yes and resent it, because if I ask you to bake a cake and you're baking a cake out of resentful, that ain't going to taste good.
That's not going to taste good.
You know,
you go with a whole heart.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, why go?
Absolutely.
You know.
And it's a constant. I don't wake up every day thinking, I'm going to be badass today. Well, I might think it. I don't do that. I sometimes people please. I sometimes catch myself doing it. You know, but also I can put a spin on it. You know, I'm like, okay, well, this is a learning curve. Next time, maybe do this.
That's
do you see what I mean?
being kind to yourself, in it, isn't it?
But the awareness is great when you catch yourself, because
it's
like,
great.
Oh, I know this territory. I know this.
Oh, been
I know.
Hang on it.
Yeah. Over texting, I'm over explaining, delete.
100%.
It's just like,
and the other person's getting ... from about 10 minutes.
And then you just get
you're just deleting
short sentence going, I won't be available.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
That's it, right?
And taking out the sorry.
Yes.
Or apologising.
Yeah,
I'll do that with emails as well. You'll never get an apology from me. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. No, why not? Why not? But these are all things that I'm glad that this stuff is being really sort of brought up to the surface. It's like it's bubbled up to the surface. It's become very an awareness now that I watch younger people just go, no, and I'm like, who was it I saw the other day? Someone said about, I tell you it was your daughter.
I thought you were going to say
that was your daughter. And Jamie said, can I photograph you and can I film you? She said no. And he said, and I said no. That is great.
Yeah, no is a full sentence.
No is a full sentence. No is that's it. It's the smallest sentence in the world, but it's absolutely no. Enough. And I thought she was marvellous. And I think loving the fact that she doesn't feel compelled to follow someone else's, they're going to judge me.
And this is the beautiful thing about being at this space, in the menopause space, you know, talking about menopause so much, is that I have 2 daughters, they're 30 and 34. Their menopause is not going to hit them in the same way that it hit me, because, one, they can't avoid knowing about stuff, but also their generations are having these conversations and they're not taking it.
They are.
Yeah, they're not doing this. So even though it might be too late for me or you, or you know, at the same time, it means that the research is starting to happen. The government are having to sit up and take notice. Men are talking about menopause. Young people are talking about menopause. Menopause education is in schools. You know, depending on which school it is, how successful it is, and so on and so forth. So and that's one of the reasons I talk about all the things I talk about is that I don't want people coming up behind me to come up against the same brick walls.
Absolutely.
That makes no sense to me. And I love that, your daughter was able to advocate for herself.
Absolutely.
Because we want to raise women and young people actually to have advocacy over themselves and over their own bodies and over their own lives.
Yeah. It's not Disney life, and we were raised on Disney life where you had a guy would come in and he would sweep you off, and then it would all be great, and you would. It would
I was going to marry David Cassidy.
Yeah, well, of course.
I was.
Of course, he was very
with his
beautiful.
sticky hair.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
But
Michael Jackson. Look how that turned out.
Moving swiftly on.
All the time,
But it's true.
It's too busy looking in the mirror.
Oh, there you go. Oh, very good.
Very good. He's here all week.
Did you bar mitzvahs? Anyway.
But now even Disney have caught on, and now they have a lot. They're
caught on because they made money out of it.
This is absolutely
They don't give a
true.
shit.
No, but it's up to us being living, existing examples. Exactly that. Thank you for that. Yeah,
You're
but
welcome.
it is true.
And sharing the stories, those stories being told
and
out
this is
loud.
real life. This is
proudly,
real life. And good books and good theatre and good creativity.
About those things.
Good walking examples of this is what we do.
Walking, living, breathing.
We are.
Yeah.
And it's not what people say. To me, it's what they do. Their deeds are more important than their...
And I think you mentioned stories. In a sense, that's why I stay in broadcasting. I continue to do because like you, passion project...
Yeah.
Well, if I run out of money, well, then it's not happening. I prefer to eat. Do you know what I mean? But I feel Menopause Whilst Back, the podcast, was born out of tragedy in 2020 when George Floyd was murdered and Amy Cooper, called the police on Christian Cooper. And we had this, Black Square Summer and this awakening.
Yeah.
And that's, putting it in parentheses is deliberate. But... it meant that it put a rocket up my bum, and it meant that the rage led me to start a podcast knowing nothing about podcasting, but recognising that there are people out there with twice my competence and half my talent doing all sorts of things, and also recognising that the stories are important. The menopause space was very pale, very white, very, I've got a headache, I'm very sad. And I feel like sharing the story, because literally it is black women talking about menopause and about their experience.
Yeah.
We can hear the same story 6-7 times, and it won't land, and we won't connect it with us.
Yeah.
And then we'll hear someone who either looks like us, or parents are from the same village as us, or went to the same school, or something, and something will click.
Yeah.
And I feel that the diversifying every space, not just the menopause space, is important because it means we all win, because we're all richer from finding out more of those experiences and recognising that we have more in common than we don't.
We do.
Yes.
But I think what's so sad is the current climate where we're being pitted against each other with the rise of the far right and fascism and Tommy what's his face and all that kind of stuff. Is just... it's really, and I don't mean, we're all going to hold hands and skip into the sunset or, rainbows or that kind of thing. But I do feel we need to recognise that these stories are out there and we need to lean more into humanity, and looking after ourselves and its community.
And understanding each other.
Right,
it's having the space for understanding each other. You don't have to agree with somebody, but to understand, I think is less, there's less... less division, and it's like exactly, because it's very easy. It almost feels like it's very easy to go straight into the fear place and go straight into the oppositional place.
Because it's scary.
Because it's human nature to go, oh no, push that away because this is survival. Really, it just means a conversation. Have a chat. Have a talk about it with somebody. What frightens you. Let's talk about what frightens you,
and
see
question.
If it's
Just sit down next to a stranger and ask that. Really interesting.
Yeah. absolutely.
Yeah, I think the more we put ourselves forward, and the more we are honest, authentic, whatever you want to call it, about, because we're all scared.
Totally.
We're all not talking about the things that we're scared about. We all feel shame, and the shame also keeps us scared.
It does.
You know, whether
it's a killer.
Shame about where you're from, whether it's shame about thinking you're the only person who, I don't know, eats crisp sandwiches or whatever. You know, but actually, my experience personally, particularly online, which is where I also hang out, is that when I've said the thing that makes me feel a little bit sick, that's the thing that resonates.
Exactly.
That
it touches other people.
Like when I started to talk about my mental well-being, the number of people go, "Oh yeah, I've been on antidepressants for 9 months."
Yeah.
You know, or you know, when I talked about, when I started to talk about menopause, people were like, "Oh, for that."
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like
it's less
if I
isolating.
could encourage people to kind of step a little bit out of their comfort zone and have that connection around being, truthful and honest rather than, that whole thing about
make a friend of your honesty.
How are you? I'm fine. Well, no. Who's fine? No one's fine.
No.
I'm not fine.
No.
I am not fine.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful. I'm here. I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm aware. That'll do right now.
And being able to celebrate that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can celebrate the fact that you're not feeling all the buttons.
Yeah, not feeling
but it's okay.
Yeah.
I can feel hyper and it's okay.
Yeah,
I can feel it's a human experience and be able to. But you personify the human experience.
I think we all do love.
I know
what you're saying.
I mean, as somebody in town, yes, we all do. No, yeah, that sounds really silly. Actually, now I come to think of it.
That's fine.
But what you do, I think, is what we're trying to do now is make this much more accessible.
Yeah.
Much more. Actually, depression is normal. Feeling out of things is normal. Feeling overwhelmed is normal. Feeling. I was at choir last night and I was really struggling. I had a horrible experience and I couldn't let people see it. But I came away and talked about it and I shared it with Kath this morning. And it was like, what happened? But it's okay. I'm not feeling shame about that now because I've shared it and I'm amongst friends.
Yep.
And that takes courage to be able to share some of the things that we're afraid of sharing.
And when you share, it gives other people courage. It takes courage.
Yeah.
But you, bit by bit, you give other people courage.
Yeah. You can do this too.
They did that. I can do it. The number of times I will access, in my head, either people I follow online or people I know in real life. Oh, they did that. I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be big things.
No.
But it. No one's fine, and we're all struggling in one way or another, and we're acknowledging that in big ways or in little ways, but just be aware that, there's we have this whole world of people who you meet every day, you don't know what they're going through, you don't know how they're dealing with things, and it's okay to go, actually, today's a bit of a day,
Yeah, we're so programmed to say fine, aren't we? Fine,
because we
sorry.
think that people don't want to hear. And some people don't want to hear, and that, that's fine. I'm not advocating for you to go around telling strangers all your business. Yeah. But in a safe space.
Strangers tell me their business.
Me too. That's you.
Yeah.
That's you.
But that's a thing, isn't it?
No, but that's great. Isn't that great?
But I think that's actually it's a bit
as well, right?
It's licensed.
Yeah.
And us and so in a way, St Leonard's and Hastings and our environs are very environs. Wait, is that how do I say it? Environs.
Environ.
Environ.
Yeah.
So Kath speaks French.
I got it. Great accent.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
But to have that what's so good about living here is the fact that it is such it's such a contagion, really, because so much of this is. I'm not painting the town as an idyll. I'm saying that there's an awful lot of people out there that are very courageous, very out there, very able, and the part of walking past somebody who you compliment somebody. Somebody walked past me, they compliment me, and I think, oh, girlfriend, that's so nice. And the connection, having that connection. You're very good at building connections, Karen. That's what we're trying to do here. But
I think that's what drew me. Well, I stayed because I rented when I first.
Yeah, tell us how you came down. What happened?
So I decided I was putting the house on the market. And I'd interviewed the lovely Lorna Hamilton-Brown, who's a local artist, textiles artist.
She's coming on.
Incredible, fantastic.
Yeah.
And she's told me where she lived. And off camera, I said, so what's it like? Are there any black folks down there? Because I wasn't about to move anywhere. No. I was the only black in the village. I'll hold my hands up.
Totally, yeah.
And she was like, well! So then, this is months before I put the house. Then I put the house on the market, and then she messaged me on Instagram saying, "Well, if you're going to move to Hastings, and I'd never said I was going to, by the way.
That's so good.
Then you need to come and see."
Yeah.
So I booked a day trip, and she met me at the station.
Nice.
And she walked me down past Primark, down to the sea, and then along the seafront towards St Leonard's. I went into Africolab, we went into Dandelion Denham, we went into all those places, and I was slowly kind of
box is ticking.
Meanwhile, my house isn't selling, you know, and I let go of the need to know where I was going, because I thought, well, if I move somewhere and rent and I don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. This was my thinking. So I didn't know the area at all. And then the universe does what it does, and so once I'd kind of seen St Leonard's and think, oh, that's a bit of me, you know, a house came up for rent, and it happened to be someone who I kind of knew through someone else. So I rented, I think, for 6 months. I also thought, let me arrive during the winter so I can see if I can do it.
Yes.
It's a good test.
Yeah.
My God.
Horizontal looking at the seafront.
Wow. I remember the first Friday there was a torrential downpour. I thought the windows were going to come through. I thought, oh, I'll go and get my first lot of fish and chips. I wasn't going anywhere. You know.
Yeah.
And then I started to look after a year.
Yeah.
No, less than a year. It took a year to go through. And found somewhere to stay. But when my children come to visit, the first thing they said was, oh, this is you. Because there are a lot of artists here, it's very creative, but there's also lots of people, seem to be a lot of people my age, maybe it's just me, people who were just doing their own thing, dressed quirkily, the naked guy on the bike.
Yeah.
The naked guy on the bike. You know, there are so many characters.
Yeah.
I just settled. And I also, Lorna and Claudine Eccleston and people like Dorcas Magbagello, who is a local artist and illustrator, really embraced me and
they love you.
Introduced me to more people. I'm also someone who will seek out. So I joined clubs and I joined things online and I went outside specifically to find out more about people in the area. And I took myself on little adventures, like, oh, I'll go left, no, I'll go right. I mean, obviously you go right, go to the sea, but you know what I mean? So I feel like I'm not going anywhere. And I wouldn't have stayed had I not liked it and enjoyed it. And Africolab and Anna and Lily and all the wonderful work they do, Home Life Art. There's always something. Yeah. There's always something going on, actually.
Yeah.
You know, so big fan. Staying.
Oh,
that's very great.
We are
great to hear.
Very, very lucky. We are very lucky.
This looks like it's going to be a thing.
This is.
I've been doing this thing. Does this mean stop talking? Is this your subtle way of saying... We've been talking for 2 hours. Stop talking now.
We're going to have her back.
Yeah.
We've got to have her back at some point.
All right.
Definitely. But you've been an absolute joy. Thank you so much.
My body, I'm ready. I'm so ready with my cold coffee.
I've not got much.
You've been a joy, darling. It's been an absolute pleasure. Welcome to the Manor.
Yes, thank you.
We love you very much. Karen Arthur, everybody, our town hasplenty.
Thank you. great.